will be placed in the media beginning tomorrow, Wednesday, 24th November 2021, detailing the eligibility requirements, and we look forward to as many recently recruited young civil servants applying for consideration. It is important to note that the fellows will still be retained at their places of work with occasional short residential stints away from their workstations. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I wish to note that the public sector role in society is constantly evolving. We are being transformed in the direction of a more active role for government that enables diverse development across society, including new innovations and the strengthening of the whole of government agenda. This calls for a new rationale and development approaches for public sector leadership. We must not be caught napping. It is our desire that the Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship Program will provide practical solutions to the leadership development challenges that we have faced for a long time. In initiating this program, we have taken an active approach in fostering innovativeness by bringing in stakeholders from outside the government to join us. It is a partnership that has worked for us very well through deployment of various value additions collaborations. Emerging public leaders have come in with their experience of implementing a similar program in Ghana and Liberia, while Emerging Leaders Foundation brought in new perspectives and youthfulness in the curriculum development. It is on that note that I call upon all of us to embrace this program and let us grow together. Our chief guest and all stakeholders gathered here today, let us always remember that the citizens we serve want their expectations met. They want the officers they deal with to be competent and honest. They want to be treated fairly. And they also want efficient and effective service delivery that is worth the taxes that they are paying. And to achieve this, we must endeavor to have a public service that is citizen-centric. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure and honor to invite our chief guest, Professor Margaret Kobia, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Gender, Senior Citizens Affairs and Special Programs, to address us and officially launch the Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship Programs. Please let us give her a clap.
Thank you very much. Please have your seats. I lived there. I'm very happy to see very bright faces of staff that I worked with. So for me, it's like coming home. But let's do the core business. Charity Kisotu, the Vice Chairperson, Public Service Commission, PSC Commissioners present, the CEO, Simon Rotich, the Principal Secretaries present, Charles Sunkuli and Mary Kimonye from my ministry, management and staff for Public Service Commission, Ms. Karen Wakoli, Executive Director, Emerging Leaders Foundation, Kenya, Madam Yawa Hassan Poor, Executive Director, Emerging Public Leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me start by apologizing for coming late. On Tuesdays, is a day we have a cabinet meeting, and when I accepted, I thought it would be done by 10. but somehow we are not done by 11, and they had a matter to table before the cabinet. However, I'm happy, but I want you to forgive me for coming late. Two, I actually, sometimes when we're invited to events, and especially when we are busy, and most of you are, you don't just go to all, you choose one which to go. So I must ask myself, why did I come to this particular event? One, as I said, PSC occupies a very special place in my heart. Two, this is the human resource development of the executive. So what they do, you also help the executive, in turn, you help me. So for that reason, I was persuaded I needed to come here. Three, I strongly believe in leadership development. And I think leadership development matters. Why do I say so? It is the determinant of what differentiates an individual A and individual B. It's a determinant that differentiates one home neighboring each other and another one, where you find everybody going to school, progressing well, the other home, and they share a fence, they are all drop out. You must ask yourself, what is the difference? At the same time, we know leadership is easy to talk about it, but it's very complex. It's very complex because there are always arguments. What is leadership? And for me, coming from the teaching background, we are broad. We think just beyond the one perspective. So when we come to leadership, we are told there are so many theories that explain leadership. Some will argue leaders are born, so you don't need to be trained by anybody. Others say leaders are trained. You can argue around that, because when two small or 3 or 5 small boys who are aged 5, and you put them at the center there, all of a sudden one of them will decide which game they play and which way they behave. What is it? Nobody has already trained them. Therefore, the complexity of leadership cannot just be left to chance. If there are so many theories that explain leadership, we are also told leadership is situational. What leadership does different situation demand? So you find a complexity in that area. I also know not two leaders are the same. So if you are busy comparing me and Kirogo, you are wrong. Or if you compare Kirogo and Madam Kisoto, you are wrong. Because no two leaders are the same. And you must be aware of that. I wish I knew that before, because I would spend a lot of time comparing. They said Mass is not the same like the other one. Finally, but leaders are principles. Principles remain. But leaders are solution-oriented. They seek solution. They have a vision. Leaders are result-oriented. Leaders seek goals. Leaders value communication. Leaders value teamwork. Leaders never give up. They persist. Then, with all what I've said, that tells us leadership is so complex that it cannot just be left by chance. And I think that's why you have seen now moving forward, we have leadership as a body of language, a body of knowledge. Leadership has become, in the last 30 years, a body of knowledge. That's why you hear some people are going for MBA leadership, master's leadership, in fact, even PhD, an aspect of leadership. So in that background, it is very, very complicated. And now I just want to congratulate the Public Service Commission for teaming up with the other two organizations to purpose to develop leaders in the public service. And I can connect that with what His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta desires for public service. Many times he has said he would want to leave a stronger public service than he found it. One way of leaving a stronger public service is through developing leaders at entry level. And that has helped His Excellency the President leave a stronger public service through the internship program we have had, through other efforts, through MDAs who are making effort in training, developing leaders. Therefore, we are spending much time here, but it is worthy spending because this is the only way we can be able to strengthen our public service because we also know the role it plays. I'm also very happy to see Karen Wakoli here. Karen, where are you? Please stand. Can you say you are my student? Please have a seat. Can you give her a clap? Karen is a leader par excellence because I know her. In the Public Service Commission, when we are starting a program like this, the American Embassy approached Public Service Commission to identify leaders in the public service to go for a training of young leaders, young African leaders initiative by President Obama. It's called YALI. Karen was the first, among the first young African leaders in that program, if she hasn't told you. And through that, I think she's much, much better. It could be almost 10 years now. She's now much better. She had developed her leadership qualities, and she can run a program like this. So I'm glad, Karen, I can see you here. You're persistent, and you have a program on leadership, and especially targeting the youth. So I think those who interact with someone like Karen and other facilitators, I'm sure you have a privilege. Therefore, I'll just go ahead and read my statement. I'm pleased to join you today as you launch the Public Service Emerging Leader Fellowship Program. This program is timely in the public service and it will go a long way in strengthening value-based leadership and supporting institutional building. I thank the Commission and the management for putting together such a relevant learning and development program. Further, I wish to thank both the Emerging Public Leaders and Emerging Leaders Fellowship for coming together and joining hands with the Public Service Commission to develop this program. Ladies and gentlemen, the main goal of the program is to develop young public servants to be aware of skills and competencies for public service. As a cabinet secretary responsible for public service, it gives me such inspiration that we are developing a generation of youth for Kenyan public service. These youth will be trained to apply their talents and enhance efficiency in the public service delivery. I'm informed that the program seeks to nurture high potential newly recruited civil servants to become future leaders in the public service, particularly emphasizing their development in citizen-centric, competent and ethical public sector leadership, innovation and strategic career and personal development. Ladies and gentlemen, human capital is the most valuable asset in any organization. That is said severally. The public service is proud of this kind of asset due to immeasurable contributions it makes. Today's young people are innovative, energetic, and resilient. Due to the technological advancement, we are dealing with a generation of young people who are more connected than the previous generation and are deeply engaged in whatever they choose to do. They are pressing for representation as citizens and aspiring for leadership at every top, pushing for reforms in the public service and need for democratic space. I note with satisfaction that this program will secure the future of public service leadership at all levels. I want to disabuse that leadership is about top position. It is at all levels. In fact, we even know leadership at the personal level. Leadership at personal, how you influence yourself to make choices. And the choices that you make is influenced by your capacity to lead. So let's also feel challenged to see what extent have I led myself. We even hear people who can lead thought leadership, so that it is across. If you want to try to develop leadership for the top, sometimes we fail because you might not be able to build a team at all levels. So I also feel, much as we are having this youthful program, we should also see at personal level, what leadership do we still have to experience? Taking into account the world is rapidly changing. The youth we are training today are very different from those who are there 10 years, those who are there 20 years. And if we try to inculcate those kind of skills which were there for many years, it might not work for them. So we need to be alive. What works now and what is that to work, so that we don't spend a lot of time. I'm reminded, and many youth people will tell me so, they don't want, we used to say permanent and pensionable, but the youth of today globally, the standard shows they don't want to be in one place for more than 3 years. They want to move on. But maybe here we are in government struggling to tell them stay on. So how do we make our work and environment support the changing youthful or the changing people that come to the public service? What kind of work environment can nurture the leadership that you want to have in this program? Those are some of the questions that you can answer during as we develop the program. Ladies and gentlemen, this country has a history of young men who ascended to the top public service position at a very young age. The late Honorable Kennedy Matiba became a permanent secretary for education in 1963 at 31 years, a PS of 31 years. While the late Honorable John Mechoki, who we know very well in the public administration, became a permanent secretary for finance in 1965 at 33. Engineer Philip Okund, who was the managing director for East African Telecommunication at the age of 32. And it is because of good foundations that they laid that the Kenyan's public service is still highly regarded today. That is the legacy of the independence generation. And all of us in the public service today are heirs of their handwork, putting in place system, processes, procedures, which we build and to take up to the level where we want to be. Which means, today you might not become a PS at the one, because I also want you to understand the situation at Independence 63. There were very few educated people. Now there are very many. So what will make you as a youth distinguish yourself from the other, so that you can get a position like those who are very youthful got those positions? If one can't get now, what else can they do? Because being used in the public service, in my view, is a calling. You must be willing to go an extra mile. That's what I found, for little pay. But you can still make a contribution that gives satisfaction and also support others and give service. From that history then, we learn that effective leadership and national development go hand in hand. Developing leaders and giving responsibility to young people is therefore not a new practice in the Kenya Public Service. Structural adjustment program coming in the mid-1980s forced us to freeze employment in the public service for up to 10 years. Subsequently, the public service abolished some vacant positions, thereby denying public servants opportunities for career progression and upward mobility. The current reality, however, dictates that to achieve the objective of our country's development blueprint, the Kenya Vision 2030, on becoming a new industrial nation by the year 2030, we need to develop resilient leadership teams with a good skill mix, traits, competencies, experiences, and personal network. Let me add, with all those skills, also there must be people who would be able to know who are the right leaders even to choose democratically. Are we looking for people with competences, people with track record, people with the values and integrity? Developing highly capable leaders anchored on public service core values is therefore a priority of the President, His Excellency the President Uhuru Kenyatta and his government. We strongly believe that values and their role in shaping the governance cannot be overstated. Selecting and developing not just the most capable, but also the most committed individuals for leadership is hence our topmost priority. It is my hope that the caliber of leaders we shall recruit into the fellowship program will produce leaders anchored on our core principles of meritocracy and professionalism as identified in Chapter 6 and Article 232 in the Constitution, just as the Vice Chair said. Ladies and gentlemen, therefore, there are compelling reasons, and I have articulated above why public service must develop a pipeline of leaders for the future. It is for this reason that I see the role taken by Public Service Commission pursuant to the mandate of developing human resources in the public service as a very timely and commendable. However, for this program to succeed, you need to have a very well thought out, inclusive, participatory approach that brings all key implementation stakeholders together for sustainability and accountability. And to me, that is very, very important, because in Kenya now, the way our constitution is, any initiative we start, you want to, is it inclusive? Is it participatory? Who else? Maybe you are doing something similar so that you can also benefit from the lessons learned. That's what will make this program, even when Vice Chair and your team is gone, 5-10 years later, you can look back and say, yes, we can measure the progress made by those young leaders program you started. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to note that the public services across the world are facing a highly complex and volatile government. Many of these challenges are similar, but our responses must be situated within our unique context as Kenya. As we innovate to preempt and address these challenges, we can shorten our learning curve and be much more effective. How can we be effective? We can be effective by also sharing good practices with one another and getting into a mutually beneficial partnership, like what the Commission has entered into Emerging Leaders Foundation and the Emerging Public Leaders. This, to me, it holds the key to a responsive public service. In this regard, we must ask ourselves, what attracts young professionals in public service? And I was also being provoked to know, how do you get people who are coming to public service who are not just looking for a job, but they have a calling to do that public service. They want to serve. But in Kenyan and in African context, due to shortage of jobs, it is very hard to find somebody who is just coming to look for a job because of that calling or that connection. They are just looking for a job. But I challenge Public Service Commission, moving forward, if you can develop a tool that will be able to interview, may it be digital, just to identify those people who have a calling. These are wired for public. We used to call them wired for a public service, because not everybody is wired for public service. Not everybody is wired to be a businesswoman or businessman. Not everybody is wired to be, in private sector. We must respect individual differences. And it is that individual differences that Public Service Commission can use a tool that only identifies those individuals who are hired to serve in the public service. If we had maybe 80% of that, because our tool could be very accurate, then they will serve public service, and their satisfaction comes from serving others. And that's why we would say, if you ask ourselves, if today you went to a hospital, let's say hospital X, and it's a government hospital, what experience? Because we know when we are talking about improving public service, we know what you are talking about. If you went to a hospital now, from the time you enter and they give you a registration, maybe see the nurse who takes your vitals, see the doctor, finally go for tests, finally go to see the doctor, and then perhaps go to get the medicine from the pharmacy. How is that a value-churning experience? Because that's how we are measured in the public service. If it's in school, what does a standard 3 child experience from the time they enter in the morning? They spend a day in school. Is the teacher 60% of the time away? Then you know, or they are lacking some books. So it is not rocket science to know how well we can give public service if we are giving a proper leadership direction. Therefore, considering that the first intake of this will be about 50 fellows for the first 12 months, it is my hope and desire that this will not be a first, nor will it be the last cohort. But the first cycle will give you or will give us lessons necessary to improve the next cohort. Finally, allow me to thank each and every one of us who has participated in development and the launch of this program. I have no doubt if we use the whole of government approach, in fact, we are even talking about the whole of society approach, this is another building block in the public service reforms. I thank you. May God keep you. May God shine his face upon each one of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tumpigie makofi waziri. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Madam Waziri. I know you really identify yourself with the Public Service Commission. The foundation that we are building on today was actually laid out by Professor Margaret Kobia. So we did not just start from the scratch. She really laid a very, very strong foundation for us, and we continue to thank you because honestly, the Ministry of Public Service and the Public Service Commission have been working together. We have actually had a very good collaborative way of working because as much as we are an independent commission, we have the whole of government approach. We cannot be a government that works at cross purpose. So we really want to thank you because of that way of working. So thank you very much, and I want to hand over to the CEO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a small ritual, and I would request Sylvester, the last aspect.
Thank you so much. Asante sana, Madam CS, for creating time to join us as we launch the Public Service Emerging Leaders Fellowship Program today. We are glad to appreciate that the program is being action-based learning with an element of coaching and mentorship. And now we'll be proceeding to the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding. And I will request the choir to take their position for the Tusherehekee song as we are signing, and also handing it over to Dr. Sylvester. So we invite the CEO kindly to take his position, Dr. Simon Rotich. Ms. Yawa, the Global Executive Director, Emerging Public Leaders, kindly to proceed to the signing area. Ms. Karen Wakori, the founder and executive. Yeah. It's yes. Yeah. One line was not a moja tu.
Okay.
Or you explain
Okay. The memorandum of understanding that is being signed is between Emerging Public Leaders and Emerging Leaders Foundation on the one side and the Public Service Commission on the other. This memorandum marks, therefore, the official launch of the Public Service Commission Emerging Leadership Program. And I think, as many speakers have already spoken, the program is about developing new entrants to the public service leadership. What we are targeting really are the people who are served for 1 year or less in the public service. Subsequent to this signing of the memorandum, we will have a call for applications in all the media, calling for public servants who have served for 1 year and less to join the fellowship program. It will be competitive, and we will expect and we encourage all ministries and departments to send their applications. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That marks the official launch of the Public Service Emerging Leadership Program.
I request all the commissioners kindly to come down. All the commissioners. And also our principal guest. The principal guest for a photo, kindly, Madam CS. The commissioners and the principal guest. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Thank you for that photo session. As we beg the principal guest to take her seat, I'll invite Dr. Ruben Chinchil for just 2 seconds to share a word of thank you. Commissioner Dr. Ruben Chinchil, kindly. Commissioner Chinchil, kindly. Thank you so much, choir.
Thank you very much, choir. Madam CS, Professor Kobia, our chief guest today, our Vice Chair, who is also the acting chair for the Public Service Commission, my colleagues, commissioners, permanent secretaries present, senior government officials, our partners from Emerging Public Leaders Organization and Emerging Leaders Foundation, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Mine will be very brief. I just want to say thank you to all of us. But before that, I really want to congratulate us for being part of this ceremony. It has been very successful, and I'll request us to appreciate ourselves. Please. Asante sana. It looks small, but it's a major milestone in the development of leaders, young leaders in the public service. Ladies and gentlemen, we really want to appreciate our chief guest, Madam CS, for creating time to be part of us and sharing a statement which shows that this program is fully supported by government. Thank you very much. We also want to appreciate our partners, led by Yawa and Karen. As partners, we really want to thank you for supporting this program, for partly financing and starting the journey with us. So we really appreciate you for today. We also want to appreciate all government organizations, those who have participated in this program, in conceptualizing, planning, and coming up to this point, all the departments of government with various young officers. We really want to thank you and appreciate you for being part of us. We also want to appreciate our own, the commission, the officers who worked on this program and who will continue working on this, led by our CEO, Rotich, and the rest of the directors. We want to thank you for making this occasion a reality. And finally, we also want to thank the KICC. They have been our partners in many of our activities, and we want to say thank you for availing this hall and making the arrangements for this day to be successful. Finally, I want to appreciate the choir. Please, let's appreciate our choir. They have made our day, and this is why we have been able to sit for long hours. And last but not least, the media for telling the world what we are doing. Asanteni sana, we want to thank you and we appreciate you as a commission, and we ask you to rally with us as we start this program. Asante sana. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Asante sana, Daktari. We've come to the closure of our program. I also wish very specifically to take this opportunity to say thank you to the Commission for counting me worth to come and moderate this session. As Karen said, we've journeyed together, we have a history, and we'll never let down the young generation of leaders in the civil service. May we all be upstanding for the national anthem. Asanteni sana. Tumefika kikomo cha sherehe ya siku ya leo. Wageni wataondoka kwa hiari yao. Asante sana kwaya, tushangilie Kenya.